Good morning, students, parents, and the most esteemed guests. Welcome to TEDx ASB Sukhumvit Youth. I'm your organizer, Catherine Nguyen.
And I'm your co-organizer, Vincent Churchill.
If you look around you, your seat, and around this venue, you'll see the collective curiosity, the energy, and most importantly, the exceptional effort that our TEDx team and the XCL ASB School has put in to make this event come true. And today we're so excited to finally share this journey of our TEDx team. A journey that has been nothing short of an amazing one, and a journey that is guided by a powerful thing, dare to bend. The word bend definitely goes beyond physical flexibility. It's about bending our perspectives, bending the rules, bending the very fabric of what we believe is possible.
We live in a world that is constantly evolving. New ideas emerge, technologies advance, and societal norms shift. To thrive in this dynamic environment, we all must be willing to bend, to adapt, to learn, and to grow. We believe within each of us lies the potential to innovate and make a real difference in the world. And that potential can only be unlocked if we're willing to let go of our preconceived notions, to embrace vulnerability, and to dare to bend. Just like we did today, never have I thought we would be able to host an official TEDx event in another country that's not our home. And here's our greatest gratitude to every single person that helped us stand here today.
Our theme, Dare to Bend, isn't just a catchy phrase or a mere form of formality for a TED Talk event. It's a call to action. It's an invitation to challenge your own limitations and the limitations that are imposed upon you. By the end of the event today, we would be thankful if you were able to find the strength within yourself to bend and to emerge stronger and more resilient than ever before.
With that being said, here's more ideas worth spreading.
And let us announce the beginning of TEDx ASB Sukhumvit Youth.
Over the course of today, you'll hear from an incredible lineup of speakers, each with their own unique stories and perspectives. They will share their experiences, achievements, and even failures, all in the spirit of inspiring us to change, to challenge our own thinking and dare to bend in our own selves.
Firstly, we would like to hear from Minseo, a junior and a student ambassador at XCL ASB, who has led a life that is driven by curiosity rather than fear. Everyone please welcome Minseo.
How many of us really wanted to do it because we were afraid of failing, of being judged, or of the unknown? I believe we've all been there at some point. But what if fear wasn't our guide? What if instead of fear, we were driven by something else? Something more powerful, inspiring, and exciting? What if we were driven by curiosity? Today, I want to talk about how living a life that is driven by curiosity instead of fear can open doors to all possibilities we have never imagined, and how embracing this mindset has not only shaped my journey in high school and shaping my path towards the future. Curiosity is the start of all great discoveries in the world. It's what pushes us to ask questions, to brainstorm new ideas, and to learn. But in a world full of uncertainties, it's so easy to The thought of being in a group of people and debating about a global topic made me nervous and frustrated. I was consumed by the fear of failure and constantly thought of, what if I mess up? What if I get embarrassed in front of the whole group? And what if I can't handle the pressure? But as I thought more about these fears, I realized something crucial. Every time I allowed fear to take control of my decisions, I was closing myself off from possibilities. Fear keeps us confined to what's familiar, comfortable, and safe. But curiosity opens doors to the world. It makes us challenge ourselves and to grow in ways we never thought would be possible. During my junior year, I had many opportunities to step up as a leader and to stand out in different clubs. And one day during August, I heard that there will be a student council election and anyone interested can stay behind for more information. At that moment, I felt a strong desire to run for vice president. But I was filled with doubt. I wasn't sure if I had the courage to put myself out there. I was curious about the roles, the people I will meet, and the opportunities that will come with being vice president. But fear crept in, and I was surrounded by fright. I remember standing alone in the auditorium as everyone else left for lunch. For a few minutes, I wrestled with myself, unsure whether to take the first step towards something greater. I was curious, but I was also afraid. But in the end, my curiosity won my fears. I didn't even know where the courage came from, but I suddenly found myself walking in front of the room saying, I would like to run for the position. To be honest, I couldn't believe what I just said. I wasn't prepared at all, but curiosity pushed me forward. The reality of my decision hit me the next day. I remember feeling overwhelmed with millions of thoughts in my head. I wondered, how am I going to do this? What if I forget everything? What if I get too nervous? I was scared and I questioned my abilities. But instead of letting fear hold me back, I embraced my curiosity. I immediately sat down in front of my desk, opened my laptop, and began to write my speech. I wrote, revised, and practiced. And as time passed, I realized fear no longer felt like an obstacle. Instead, it became a natural part of my journey. From this experience, I learned that curiosity does not require perfection. It requires bravery. Studies have shown that curiosity has a lot of benefits. It increases motivation, enhances social interactions, and even strengthens relationships. Curiosity might be the key to live a life full of happiness. Think about it. The most successful innovators, leaders, and creators weren't driven by fear. They were driven by creativity, wanting to know more and to understand more. From scientists who explore the world around us to entrepreneurs who push its boundaries, curiosity is the force that moves humanity forward. But how do we embrace curiosity in our everyday lives? The first step is to stop seeing fear as an enemy. Fear will always be there. It's a natural response to stepping into the unknown. But we can train ourselves to approach fear differently. Instead of letting fear hold us back, we can ask ourselves, what am I curious about? And what can I learn from this experience? Second, it's about taking action. Curiosity requires movement. We can't sit back and wait for the answers. Curiosity demands that we seek out new experiences and to be open to new ideas. Even if it feels uncomfortable and risky, we must be willing to take that first action. Lastly, curiosity invites us to embrace failure and gives us the opportunity to learn. The more we fail, the more we'll learn, and the more we'll learn, the more confident we'll get. This will help us face any difficult challenges in the future. Living a life that is driven by curiosity rather than by fear doesn't mean that you're fearless. It means that curiosity allows you to acknowledge your fears and to move forward. It's about choosing to step into the unknown and ask questions even when the answers aren't clear. It's about seeing challenges as opportunities to grow rather than obstacles that hold us back. As I stand here today, I encourage you to ask yourself, what if curiosity guided your decisions? And what could you accomplish if you embrace the unknown with love? So take the chance. Embrace every moment of your journey and let curiosity, rather than fear, be the driving force in your life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minseo. We're deeply inspired by your journey in overcoming fear and thriving your curiosity. We're looking forward to see you achieve in the future as well. Now, I would like to invite Ms. Lindsay, our learning support teacher at TEDx ASB. She is someone who has impacted positively and dedicated to well-being, specifically the importance of blood donation. And today, she's here to share some of her latest insight with us. Everyone, please welcome Ms. Lindsay.
When we face adversity, many of us use the old adage to lean on each other and rely on one another. And this looks a lot like this. Whether it's making cards, sending flowers, making meals, or showing up. Giving gifts is one of the very core aspects of our humanity. But a lot of us have forgotten a gift that makes us all connected, physically connected. Today I'm talking about the gift of blood. First, I'm going to talk about the major blood types, which I assume all of you already know. Then I'd like to talk about what our blood can do for each other, which I assume some of you already know as well. Then I'd like to talk about blood prevalency in this region of the world specifically, and a crisis that we're facing, which I assume very few of you may know, but it's the reason that I'm here today. Here's the big four. A lot of us already know this. A, B, AB, and O. But there's actually 8. So the plus and minus sign is the presence of a positive antigen or without that antigen, negative or positive. And there's a lot of science about how this all works, but the big takeaway today is that these 8 types determine what our blood can do for each other. Take this example of A positive blood. This bag of blood can go to 2 recipients, A positive or AB positive. For the other 6 types, though, this blood is useless. Here's all the positive blood types and what they can do. Take a look at AB positive. This is actually a pretty rare type, and a common misconception is that the rare types are at a disadvantage. But as you can see here, they can receive from a lot of different types of donors. They're quite lucky. They're doing okay. Here's what the negative types can do. They can typically give to more recipients. AB negative can receive from all of these types too. And that common misconception arises again. AB negative is the rarest blood group. However, they can receive from a lot of donors. Over on the right is O negative. This is the universal donor. They can give to everyone. I'm going to go back through these images. And when I do, I want you to focus on the O negative recipient. See? O negative can give to everybody, but it can only get from a single donor. Other O negative blood. So here's a map of blood prevalency. The key here, O positive, A positive, and B positive. The negative blood types didn't make it to this map because they're simply not as common, especially here in Thailand. In Thailand specifically, the negative blood types, that's A negative, B negative, AB negative, and O negative, occur at 0.8%. So let's walk into a room in Thailand with 100 people. We're likely to find one person that has one of those four types. Prevalence of O negative blood in Thailand is a staggering 0.3%. So let's come back into that room together with 100 people. Let's make it 150 people. We're unlikely to find a single person with blood type. A C-section birth, a motorbike accident, a case of dengue. Any of these relatively routine medical needs have now become a life-threatening crisis for someone with O negative blood. And I think about this a lot because I have O negative blood. This is my reality. And I often think about, okay, if I encounter an emergency, what am I going to do? Who can I call on? Will there be blood available for me? Well, it's unfortunately becoming less and less likely to happen. A 2024 news article from NBC revealed that in the past 20 years, there has been a 40% drop in blood donors. Those aged 19 to 21, that group saw a drop by 60%. The donors aged 21 to 24, that dropped by nearly a third. Now, this article was published in the US, but it was a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Less blood drives, less awareness, less donors. And this issue is reverberating through the global community. It's happening in Thailand. The banks are empty. I'm part of a blood donor group in Thailand. And these are all real posts. And these were all done in a span of 2 weeks. We are in a crisis situation. And I can't solve this myself. I can only donate every 90 days. So I need your help to take action. And you can do so in 3 specific ways. The first way is to spread awareness. Maybe you've already looked into this and you've realized that you're not an eligible donor. That's okay. Maybe needles freak you out. Maybe they make you pass out. That's okay. If you tell one person about what you've learned today, maybe 2, maybe 3, you've helped us gather more donors to help solve this crisis. The second thing that I urge you all to do is to please know your type. In the event of an emergency, your ride to the hospital will likely take minutes. Once you arrive, the first thing they'll ask you is, what's your blood type? And if you don't know, testing for it can take hours. These are precious hours that can be spent in securing you a donor. In this situation, knowledge is power. This knowledge can save your life. The third thing I ask you to do is if you don't know your type and you think you may be eligible, is to go and donate. The Thai Red Cross will test for your blood on the spot, your blood group at least. Then they'll send a sample of your blood for further testing, and then they'll determine if you have that positive or negative. They'll send you a text message. It's pretty easy. There's a blood donation center at Ponpimon Mall. It's on the M floor. You walk back towards the parking garages, follow the signs. They also have free snacks. There's also a Thai Red Cross center next to the Ivor. I have not been to this one personally, so I cannot speak on the snacks. But if you go, please let me know. Thailand's doing their part. Historically, those from the UK and Ireland have been unable to donate from bad disease. However, Thailand is one of the first countries in Southeast Asia to welcome these donors back. And it's a good thing because an estimated 15 to 22% of the Western community has negative blood. Your own blood is the rarest, most precious, most intentional gift that you could ever give to someone else. Please, I'm asking the local and international community to join together, spread awareness, know your type, and go and donate, so that we can finally stop continuously responding to emergencies. Thank you.
That was an insightful speech, and we're so thankful for your participation, Ms. Lindsay. We would now like to hear from Minseo, a fellow senior student at TEDx ASB. He is an avid member of the National Honor Society, a representative in the Student Council, and a fellow senior advisor in the ASB United Nations Club. Today, he's here to share some of his life experiences in coping with perfectionism. Everyone, please welcome Kevin.
Good afternoon, or good morning, everyone. So, I'm going to be honest with you guys. If you're expecting me to start my TED Talk with some questions so you know, maybe in the back there, it's not going to happen. Instead, I'm going to tell you how I see and define Legos, so stay with me here. You see, when I was young, I was obsessed with Legos. Building towering castles, intricate spaceships, even a replica of the Goldberg, which, to be honest, was probably more interesting than my 8-year-old mind. I was meticulous. Every piece has its place. Tiny blocks of colors stacked one upon another to harmoniously create what we call the big picture, with dopamine and adrenaline rushing through my body, envisioning the final products. If life only serves as a matrix, so just numbers, expressions, or symbols arranged in rows and columns, combined in one rectangular box, how simple would that be, right? Perfection was always the goal, until one day, disaster struck. My older mother, blessed as cotton socks, said, "My masterpiece, a magnificent dragon with fiery capabilities," courtesy to the strategically placed Lego, needed some reimagining after we accidentally crushed it to the ground. Let's just say, reimagining required a lot of stopping and a healthy dose of artistic license. My world crumbled literally. Now you might think this is the story of the tragedy of childhood, but it's not. It's about something much more insidious. The tyranny of perfection. So I want to ask everyone in this room today, across from the audience, what is perfectionism to you? I'm sure we all have our own subjective definitions or views or perception that it's almost unattainable. Let's face it, we all desire perfection. Because we all have our own Lego dragons, dreams, aspirations, visions of ourselves meticulously constructed, only to be trampled by the unexpected, the unforeseen, sheer chaos of life. Chase grades, obsess over appearances, strive for that elusive, perfect life, only to find ourselves staring at a pile of shattered dreams and where it all went wrong. As a matter of fact, perfection is almost like a cloud. The more we chase it, the more it tends to slip away from our images. And we take pleasure in the chase. We love the challenges that come with the chase. But we forget to just take a stand and stare at it. As individuals, we're so often fixated on wanting to find a piece of life. And there's no problem with that. Except we forget to take a step back and admire what's truly right in front of us. Because perfection is the force that holds us hostage. It tells us that if we're not flawless, we're not good enough, that if we stumble, we should stop, that if our Lego dragons aren't exactly as we imagined, we might as well put a piece of it, right? But what if I tell you that breaking those Legos, that experiencing the crushing disappointment was actually the first step towards something truly remarkable? You see, after the initial shock, the tears, as there were tears, I built. And you know what? It's like the dragon, it was better, stronger, more resilient because I had learned from my mistakes to embrace the chaos and the imperfections. Life isn't about avoiding the inevitable storms, no. It's about where to pick up the pieces, dust them off, and build something even more magnificent. Not this. Just talk science. Penicillin. discovered by Alexander Fleming in 1928. A complete accident. One day he had a petri dish, mold grew on it, and instead of tossing it away, he paid attention to it and realized that ruined experiment was actually the key to saving millions of lives. You know what Fleming did it to? He didn't look at the petri dish and say, well, that's not my plan, and just threw it away. No, he took a chance and saw an opportunity in the mess. Same with Henry Becquerel. He was studying about how certain objects flow under light. One day, due to bad weather, he had to keep his uranium salts in his straw. What he didn't know what happened was those uranium salts also emitted radiation, with or without any light at all. That unexpected discovery is also what led to medical imaging and cancer treatment. You see, these unexpected hindrances weren't failures. They were pivots. Let's be real, we idolize perfection. The perfect GPA, the perfect college application letter, the perfect Instagram-worthy life. We see the highlights, we don't see the failures. We compare our own behind the scenes to somebody else's perfectly curated performance and say, if you're not exactly like it, then you just don't measure up. How many of you abandoned your dream because you were afraid it wasn't perfect? How many of you held yourself back because you were afraid it wasn't good enough or you were going to fail? The leaders of this world, they're the ones who build perfect language writings every single time. They're the ones who pick the pieces, rebuild it again and again. So I'll ask you this. What's your language writing? What's the thing you've built up so perfectly in your mind that you're so scared of it falling apart? Maybe it's a good test. Good test problem. Maybe it's a college rejection letter. Maybe it's when you try something new and realize you're going to fail. Let it break. Seriously, let it crash. When I was young, being Korean raised in Thailand and what thing. But being Korean raised well, like another, perfection. Academically, athletically, musically, no exceptions, no excuses. It's just how it was. But growing up in Atlanta 3, or Atlanta Smiles rather, Bangkok, Thailand, everyone seemed freer, more at ease in their own identities. Well, me, I was just trapped about it. Well, what's really mine? It was just a checklist of expectations. Be the best, don't mess up, and never let them see you fail. And suddenly, that all changed. Okay, we all got it. Virtual learning, similar to this presentation, and we casually rapidly trade core and that no big deal until my friend acted fear of betrayal and knew it from me. And suddenly at that moment, I wasn't the perfect student. I wasn't the model example, I wasn't the high achiever. I was just that kid in front of class with an impromptu rap performance. And I started asking myself, if I could slip up like this, if I could break character so easily, was I ever really that perfect to begin with? And if I wasn't, and that version of me had really nuts, what was nuts? At first I hated it. Every mistake I made felt like proof that I had lost something. Some version of myself I was supposed to be. But here's the thing about what ifs. They cut both ways. I spent my whole life asking, what if I fail? Or what if I don't live up to my expectations? But never once I've ever stopped and asked myself, what if I can succeed at being something real? What if my current state allows me to transcend and create something new to my own expectations? And what if, and the thing about what ifs, what I could have been is the unhealthy version of perfection that I was tarnished in my head by the unhealthy expectations that I was going to set myself, almost impossible expectations. And what it could be is why I succeed. Michael Jordan. Failing isn't the end. It's proof that you're trying. It's proof that you're growing. So here's what I want you to do. Think about your labor dragons, the dream, the goal, the thing you're scared to mess up. Instead of avoiding failure, build your labor wall. Take your time. Build it brick by brick, again and again and again until you reach a state of equilibrium, reach a state of mind. The risk-taking, the almost daredevil demeanor of being able to break your own living through. And once you've done that, then you know how to live through. Because sometimes the best things in life start with the power of broken layers. Now, if you'll excuse me, I think I'm going to go build something. Maybe a letter for you for your speech. Thank you.
That was an amazing speech, Kevin, and we're so thankful for your sharing of your life experience. It's about 2:40 right now, and we have prepared snack boxes and water and coffee outside. So it's a snack break, and we'll see you again at 1:15 p.m. Thank you so much.
Yes.
What if healing emotionally from trauma is not about finding the right words, but rather about finding the right reason? Imagine waking up every day feeling like you are drowning in emotions that you cannot escape from. Well, for me, this was my reality for many years, until I was able to discover a way to take struggle and pain and turn it into something beautiful. Now, being a performing artist, a drama teacher, creative, I've often been wondering and exploring ways to understand how creativity impacts our minds. So today, I'd like to take you on a journey. A journey where I share my personal relationship with creativity and the positive impacts that it's had on my life. I also hope to enhance your awareness of creativity's role in therapy and bring your attention to its omnipresence in the world around us every single day. And maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to encourage you to take up a creative outlet here today and discover its incredible power that can be used to safeguard as well as heal us emotionally. The dragonfly. It begins its life in the water, crawling at the bottom of the pond. And it has no idea that someday it will soar through the sky. And then something changes. There's a transformation. It breaks free, it crawls out, spreads its wings, takes to the sky with a whole new perspective. I didn't realize it, but at the time, I was like this dragonfly. I felt weighed down, stuck. I couldn't really process my emotions. And just like the dragonfly, my transformation didn't happen overnight. My transformation began when I discovered a very unusual discovery. EDM. EDM is electronic dance music production, and it's a way of making music using digital tools. Now, being a performing artist, you might think that I'm being emotionally grounded and confident my entire life, but let me tell you, this is not the truth. And for many years, I carried the weight of emotional trauma. From the multiple forms of abuse that I experienced, from the very adults that I trusted the most. And as an adult, I felt stuck. I felt lost, confused emotionally, both personally as well as professionally. I turned to traditional therapy, to books, to videos, research, anything I could get my hands on, to try to understand what was going on inside of me. Now, traditional therapy, that gave me the words I needed to describe what I was feeling. But in the end, that gave me a way to feel it and to transform it into something meaningful for me. And since then, my heart has been beating at 90 beats per minute. A rhythm or a tempo that is perfect for me. It's not too fast and it's not too slow. I actually remember the moment that I decided to take my leap, to dare to bend at then age 42. There I was, drowning in my APA citations in my attempt to get my master's in psychology. And I turned to my ever supportive partner and I said, well, there is no ways I'm doing this. So in the throes of my midlife crisis, I did the most logical thing. I bought a DJ deck. And there I was with my hands on my new Mark Party Mix Mark III, and I thought to myself, this is either genius or I'm having a meltdown. Well, it turns out it was neither. But it became one of the most crucial decisions I've ever made in my life. It was the start of my healing process. Now, when I'm producing music, I feel like I'm in control. Not by suppressing my emotions, but rather by being fully honest with what I'm feeling. Taking that emotional honesty and then reshaping it into something that is meaningful to me. To understand it as opposed to push it away. I have the ability to transform my fears into rhythms, my anger into bass lines, and my hopes and my dreams into beautiful memories. Like the dragonfly emerging from the water, I also had to face discomfort before I could rise. And like learning how to produce music, healing wasn't easy either. The learning curve is steep, and I can assure you the self-doubt, oh, that is very definite. But just like in music production where we shape raw sounds into harmonious, understandable melodies, EDM gave me the ability to transform the noise into my head into something a lot more balanced. And with each song that I created, something inside of me began to shift. And the more and more I committed to the process, the more the depression began to loosen its grips on me. Creativity, it's not about making art. It's about reshaping our experiences. It's about having a process where we can understand ourselves emotionally. Science shows that when we engage in creative activities, the brain begins to rewire itself. It begins to help us heal. Now, in ways that traditional therapy cannot do alone. And let's take a look at why this happens. The brain, it's not fixed. And when we create, we are actually beginning to change things in our minds. The brain has the ability to adapt, to reshape and form new connections and neural pathways. This is known as a process called neuroplasticity. It's like strengthening a muscle. But instead of lifting weights, we're lifting our emotions. Making music, painting, and writing carves new pathways into the brain, building emotional resilience. Research shows that creative expression helps us to stimulate the reward system and to release dopamine, which helps us to reduce stress. Have you ever been so deeply immersed in something that you completely lost track of time? That is known as the flow state. The flow state is a place where we go to when we are so mindfully committed to something. Stress disappears, anxiety fades, our depression begins to fade, and we become fully present in that moment. Now, when I'm producing music, I'm not worried about the past or anxious about the future. I am here, in the moment, shaping sounds piece by piece, connecting with my flow state. Music therapy in particular has been proven to help patients with PTSD and their symptoms such as depression and anxiety. It activates the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that is responsible for our emotional regulation and decision making. This makes it a fantastic tool to guide us in a path for healing. A 2023 study showed that there were 9 music therapy programs that were tested on about 500 PTSD patients. And the results were a significant decrease in PTSD symptoms. Sound and rhythm are more than just entertainment. They are the path to healing. Another 2023 study shows that art therapy also had a significant positive effect on people who were suffering from depression, patients or individuals with cognitive disorders. This proves that creativity isn't just an emotional outlet. It has a positive effect and a measurable effect on mental health. Creativity can be more than just entertainment. It can be an essential tool that we can use for healing and safeguarding our own emotions. And when we merge it with traditional therapy, we also create the possibility to transform our own lives. Today isn't about becoming an artist or a musician. It's about finding a creative outlet that helps you to connect with yourself. What matters is that you dare to take the lead and to build a thoughtful relationship with it. For you, it could be through writing, dancing, pottery, but for me, it's EDM. And with that said, I'd like to take you on a journey in my creative process. Okay, so in the next few minutes, we are going to have a creative connection with each other in the room. I'm going to start off by opening up a gentle sound wave. And as you begin to hear it, I want you to thoughtfully and mindfully accept it. Accept that the sound is there. I invite you to sit comfortably. Take a nice, deep, activated breath in sound. And as you slowly and gently breathe out, just settle into your own natural breathing patterns. We'll open up the sound a little more. Thoughtfully, mindfully sinking into the process, second by second. And in a moment, I'm going to ask you to be involved in this process with me by sharing your emotions here today. I would like you to begin to pay attention to the relationships that sounds have with each other. And as the music begins to expand, and the creative process begins to unfold, think about the relationship that you are building with the sounds. How do those sounds, what do those feelings feel like to you? So if anybody would like to raise their hand and give me an emotion to start with, we can start shaping. Yes.
Calm. Calm.
Could you say that loud?
Calm.
Calm, feeling calm.
Calm. Yeah.
Calm, C-A?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, so calm could often feel like a piano that begins to gradually open. Okay, anybody else like to share another emotion with me? Yes? Relieved. Okay, relieved. To me, that sounds like something passionate. So I'm going to transfer that into a rolling bass. Start feeling how we went from nothing into something gradually creating together. Anybody else want to give me one more emotion? Yes. Anger. Anger. I like anger. Sometimes anger can sound like a kick drum. I'm slowly going to take you through a process, feel the music. If you feel like you want to move. If you want to just sit there and enjoy it, sit there and enjoy it. Closely, mindfully connect. Begin to feel it rise, the emotion, feel it. So this is a very small lens into my creative process. There's a lot of other cool, fun, technical things that happen behind the sound. This isn't about the music, of course. This is about us, human beings, and our connection to creativity. The very existence of life as we know it has been born through creativity. Creativity is in everything. It is in this room, it is in our homes, in our day jobs, in our offices, at work, in our classrooms as teachers. We can find creativity in mathematics. We can find it in historical studies, through reenactments. We can find it in some obvious places like creative expression. And we can also find it in very nature itself. Creativity has the way or possibility to shape our ideas, the unexplainable and the unimaginable. The dragonfly teaches us that transformation is possible no matter where we start. But we must develop a mindful connection with creativity. And this mindful connection does the same thing for us as what the dragonfly teaches us. It lifts us beyond what we think is possible. It gives us wings to see ourselves in new perspectives, to reshape our minds, to reshape our perspectives and emotions, and to embrace ourselves with courage. Traditional therapy and medication are absolutely essential. But when we throw creativity into it, it creates something unique. A connection. A commitment. It allows us to connect with our inner selves in ways that words cannot. And it gives us the courage to embrace ourselves. When we use creativity as a tool to explore and express our feelings in a way that words cannot, we can thrive. So I ask you this: what if healing emotionally is not about finding the right words, but about you finding your right rhythm. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your inspirational speech, Ms. Asha. It's time we invite our guest speaker. Our next speaker is someone that I personally look up to in terms of education and mindset. She's a passionate public speaking coach who also enjoys deep conversations about well-being and philosophy. Let's welcome Khun Ponpimon with a round of applause.
And we can keep asking, am I reacting By doing this, it helps us to separate what's true from what's dishonest. For example, let's say you're upset over something at work, you're not sure what it is. There at home, something small like losing the keys or stubbing your toes on a table's corner can make you snap and make you. Now, the root cause of that reaction wasn't because of the key, the toe, but maybe a little bit on the table's corner. Won't be there. But if we realize what actually caused that reaction, it could help us to choose to react without impulsivity. Moving on to the next step, processing. This is where we actually have to take action to clear up those emotions. And we can do that by taking a break, start journaling, talking to someone we trust, or even considering consult professionals if needed. Now, when they say that it's easier said than done, this is where we actually have to put in an effort to actually work for ourselves, make a difference to become more emotionally secure. Now, I know that this step might sound a bit challenging to most of us, so let me give you an example. So one of my students, whenever she has to give an important presentation, this is a trick that she likes to do. So she would run into the bathroom and she'd stand right in front of the mirror and she would give herself a little pep talk. See, it doesn't have to be something big as long as it works for you. Now, it is really important that we acknowledge that while filtering water and emotions, we share some similarities. These two also have some major distinctions because while water flows from high places to low places, our emotions don't always follow that same pattern. Instead, they rise, falls, and fluctuates over time. And so, even when we try our best to filter them with awareness, understanding, and processing, sometimes we might still find ourselves drinking that same mystified glass of water. So, this is where our protagonist comes in. Self-empathy. Self-empathy allows us to notice that ever-changing pattern of our emotions. And although the term is not as widely used as self-love or self-compassion, its idea of just being there and standing up for your own emotions without judgment is truly powerful. Based on the work of Dr. Sherman, a professor in philosophy from Topp University, she highlighted that self-empathy is the key element for veterans to be able to recover from their past moral and emotional injuries. She also pointed out that in order for all of us to have this journey of emotional growth, we truly need to practice self-empathy, since it helps us to accept our past wounds as they are. As I was preparing for this talk, a thought struck me, and it stayed with me for a little while. It said, who am I to even be talking about all these emotions? What credibility do I have? I'd probably name that emotion self-doubt in capital word. But after I sat with myself for about 5 hours trying to process this insecurity in mind, I've come to realize that being able to express and discuss our emotions is a part of a shared human experience where we all can nurture. And with a few graduate coursework in psychology, plus with my teaching experience, it should be enough for me to keep going and not give up. But most importantly, to even talk about self-empathy in the first place, I need to first show that to myself. And so here I am. What I'm trying to say is, most of the time, we're our own biggest critics. We tell ourselves our emotions are weak and unnecessary. Right in those moments, self-empathy stands right in front of those emotions and tell them, I am here, I see you, and I accept you advice I've ever given was to provide yourself with the same kindness you offer to someone you love. But self-empathy, take this a step further. It's not just about being supportive and compassionate towards yourself all the time. It's more about understanding and accepting your best and worst parts without judgment. So, when life hands you a flood of overwhelming emotions, remember this. You don't have to let yourself drown in them. You have the power to filter those emotions with awareness, understanding, processing, and most importantly, to have self-empathy. When you fully allow yourself to emerge in your own emotions without judgments, your emotions will become the source of compassion and not contamination. Now, with a clear heart and mind, you can drink that glass of water. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Khun Ponpimon. Self-empathy and how one can cleanse their mind and well-being was brilliantly portrayed. We got some feedback from the speakers saying this has been incredibly helpful for them on such a big day today. Now, we would like to hear from Ivor, a fellow senior student at TEDx ASB. He is a varsity basketball and volleyball captain, while also being a student council grade representative. Today, he is here to share experiences in his journey of discovering self-confidence in his athletic career. Please give it up for Ivor.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here to talk about a topic that affected us all at some point in life. I'm here to talk about confidence. Now, like I said, this isn't a new topic. It's a word that you hear often. And for a lot of us, we've talked about what confidence means to us. And for a lot of us, we've discovered what confidence means. But if you haven't, don't worry, you're not alone. Confidence isn't something that you're born with. It's something that you gain. Something that you gain through experience. Something that you gain through trial and error. It's something that you gain through process. Confidence is a process of struggle. Now, there are going to be a lot of reasons as to why you may not feel confident. Maybe you're afraid of being outshined by someone better than you. Maybe you can't handle the pressure of other people's expectations. Or maybe you're afraid of all the hard work that you put in is all for nothing. But what if I told you that you can change that? Because I have changed it as well. And I'm a prime example of what confidence is, because I was part of that struggle. Like I said, I was someone who went through that process. But before I share my experience, I want to ask you, I want to talk about what confidence is. Confidence is the ability to believe in your own decisions, the ability to believe that you can bounce back, always hold your head up high during adversity, and whenever you face a challenge, you view it as a stepping stone. Confidence is a trait, it's an attitude, it's all mentality. And when you are not confident, you start to feel how confined you are in your comfort zone. And when you remain in your comfort zone, you become too content. And when you become too content, you start to realize how much lack of control you have over your life. that emotion starts to feel confining and present. But developing confidence takes courage. That courage is what catapults you past your self-imposed restrictions. It's what catapults you to a new area of change. And I get that changing is scary, but it's part of the journey. Now, you might be thinking, what do I know about that? And you're right, I don't have that fancy PhD, or I'm not a therapist. I'm just some 18-year-old kid who's going to graduate in a couple months. But I struggled. Growing up, my dad said I was always shy. My first day of kindergarten, he said, was a disaster. He said that I held onto his leg because I was scared to go to the classroom. I was sobbing, screaming, kicking. And from that day on, I didn't go to school for months. But it's ironic because a lot of people who know me today know me to be a social goal, someone who's not afraid to step up to the occasion. But like I said, it's a process. And it's a process that I went through in 10th grade when I made varsity basketball team. Me in 10th grade. I made varsity basketball team. I was ecstatic. I was over the moon, happy to represent my school in a sport that I really like to play, that I felt confident in. But during this time, self-doubt and my lack of confidence became my constant companion. I completely forgot how to play the game of basketball. Every time I stepped onto the court, 1,000 worries ran through my mind. What if I messed up? What if my coach yelled at me? What if I became the laughing stock? And it wasn't a good time. I remember one of these times that we were playing our rivals, ASB Green Valley, and instead of dribbling the ball, I kicked it. I was so scared to play the game of basketball that I played a whole different sport. I kicked the ball. And during one of these times, this game specifically, against TEDx, I told my coach that I was too scared to play. And now my coach, he's an average person. He's a person who's always there for you when you need it. And he's a person who tells you what you needed to hear, not what you want to hear. And during this time, there was no exception. You know what he said to me when I told him I was too scared to play? He told me to grow up, be a man, stop complaining and whining, because basketball is just a game. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Now at first, I was kind of hurt, because his words felt blunt. It felt dismissive. I didn't know what he was talking about. I thought he just saw me as a weak and frail player, and I took it offensively. And during this moment, I struggled a lot, not only within my game of basketball, but also outside. His words, I took it on a personal level. It hurt me so much because I thought my coach was there for me. Instead, he gave me blunt advice, which I went countless nights sleepless thinking about it. And then one day it clicked. Basketball isn't about how good you are, how much flair you got, how much pizzazz you have. It's about mentality. I mean, why do you think all the greatest players in the world have that killer mentality? Like Michael Jordan, the reason he credits his success to have that killer mentality. And when I realized this, the game of basketball opened up to me. Instead of worrying about mistakes, I always thought, okay, I made a mistake, but on to the next one. I always saw a mistake as a journey, as a stepping stone. I embraced my mistakes in basketball. And I took this principle and I applied it to all aspects of my life, whether it be school, friends, or just social. And when I applied this, I felt so free. I felt that I had control over my environment. I became confident. There's this one quote from a 2014 movie called Almost Violent Year, when actor Oscar Isaac says, when it feels scared to jump, that's exactly when you jump. Otherwise, you end up staying in that same place your entire life. Now, when I first saw this movie, and I saw this quote, it resonated with me so much because that's what I went through. I had to take a leap of faith. And there are going to be moments in life when taking that leap of faith can feel overwhelming. It can feel like a daunting task. But it's exactly when you take that leap of faith is when you gain untapped potential. But being scared to take that leap of faith is a natural response. But you have to realize that that natural response, that natural fear of, oh, what if I fail? That means at the other end, there's going to be change, good change for you that you might have never expected to come. And that changed exactly what taking that leap of faith is. So, as you're sitting there, I implore you to take that leap of faith. I implore you to just be yourself. Do you. Life is short. There are going to be times when you embarrass yourself. There are going to be times when you make a mistake, big mistakes. But it's fine. Life is a journey. Every challenge that you see, it's about your mindset. Every challenge that you see, you need to embrace it. You need to embrace change. You see that every challenge is a stepping stone because the higher you climb, the greater the success. So, as you sit there, I want to ask you this. Are you ready to take that leap of faith? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ivor, for this speech. Everyone, it's time for a short 10-minute break, and we'll be back with a judgment performance. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Corbin, Hayden, Cooper, Sona, Hayan, and Kevin for your performance. This is our second last speaker. He's our humanities teacher at TEDx ASB. Mr. Samuel King will be delivering a profound speech about how artificial intelligence AI is changing our everyday lives. Everyone, please welcome Mr. Sam.
I would like to start today with just one simple question. Have you guys noticed lately the resurgence of words like delve, leverage, testament, tapestry, etc.? In the last few years, words like these have grown in our written language. I say written, not oral. What do I mean by that? With the introduction of artificial intelligence in the last few years, words like these have followed. So, there's a chance I either broken the glass for you, or those who have already been using AI daily have noticed this trend. Okay, but before this trend, honestly, I can probably say I've only heard a few people use the word delve in a sentence. Now, all of a sudden, I see it all the time lately. I want to read you a simple quote from Alex of the Guardian. When 0.5% of all articles on the research site of PubMed contain the word delve 10 to 100 times more in the last few years, it's hard to conclude anything other than a lot of medical researchers are using the technology to, at best, augment their writing. But before I move on, let me just explain to you why these words have grown in our written language. Words like delve are much more common in business language in Africa. And for AI chatbots to work, they must be using large language models. Large language models, or LLMs, must be trained first. And where are these trained? In Africa. Okay, so now you can say you learned something new today. Places like Africa, words like delve are much more prominent and popular in business English. And that's why these places are training these LLMs. But regardless, okay, what's amazing about life right now is that we are experiencing firsthand the intelligence revolution. Others might call it the fourth industrial revolution. Regardless, whatever we call it, we're experiencing history in the making. At our fingertips, we now have anything we need available to us. But with knowledge and the world digitalizing, the amount of data that we have is also growing. To put it in perspective, okay, let's say we took all of the data around the world and put it into one single library, okay? Let's say 1 gigabyte of data is one book, normal book about an inch thick. If we took all of the shelves in this library, it would go back and forth to the moon 23 times. I give you another analogy if you need. Okay, if instead of a book, we put that 1 gigabyte of data onto a CD, and we took all those CDs and put them together, it would wrap around the world 222 times. By the end of this year, there should be about 175 zettabytes of information stored around the world. By the end, like I said, it's going to be an insane amount of data. And with our knowledge growing, so does AI's. So, you might be sitting here thinking, okay, we know this already. We all already use AI. This isn't new to me. Then great. You have already leaned in and have embraced that change. People around the world are either on your side, you've embraced the change, you're using AI daily, every day, or you're skeptical, which, of course, you're in good reason to. I like to think it as the introduction of the calculator. At first, you had some math teachers who would see it as, no, it's going to make the students lazy. It's going to make the students not want to do the work anymore. And you had other math teachers who said, no, we need to embrace this new technology and lean in. Does that sound familiar right now with artificial intelligence? You have some who are saying, yes, we need to lean into the new technology. We have others saying the exact same thing as the calculator. It's going to make our students lazier. Regardless, okay, all I'll say is this. The floodgates have been opened. There's no closing them. Just like how right now, everyone's using calculators in schools. Okay, there's no fighting this change. If you're skeptical, if you've leaned in, it does not matter. What I'm going to say is that we all need to change our viewpoints towards artificial intelligence. Okay, no longer should we look at these things as all-knowing divine beings that have only the right answers. That's just simply not true. Instead of looking at it as an all-knowing chatbot, you should be looking at them as agents who are there to help us on our everyday tasks, not give us our answers right away in a second or a blink of an eye. For example, I'm a teacher. If I'm trying to instruct a new skill, I'm not going to overload my students and give them every single piece of information at once. They're never going to retain all that information. We need to look at AI agents the exact same way, okay? Keep it simple. Take one step at a time, okay? Because if you overload them and you expect them to complete a 20-task assignment flawlessly, no errors, that's not feasible. AI agents are the same way. So, let's do an example, okay? For example, let's say I want to plan a trip to Europe, okay? I'm going to use AI to help me. I have 2 prompts on the board. The one on the left treats it like an all-knowing divine being. The one on the right treats it like an agent, and it's asking to compromise with you, asking to collaborate with you and work with you. So, we have, hi, I would like to plan a trip to Europe. Please read my work calendar and notice, plan myself an entire trip down to the exact detail, okay? While the other one is saying the difference, can you first read my work calendar and tell me the best times during the year I can travel there from Bangkok, Thailand? Asking very similar things, but this one is treating it like an all-knowing robot. This one is treating it like an agent, just asking you to help. So, in the first response, we can see that it read the work calendar, it gave me a response, okay, and it told me when I should go, which is great, but then it acknowledges that it does not have all the necessary information to, okay, continue. It doesn't know my personal budget, it doesn't know my preferences, it doesn't know my interests, it doesn't know anything about me, okay? It is very basic and cannot continue. Where here, it gives very similar answers, but notice, I'm starting with the first step in the process, okay? These are the same conversations you would have with a travel agent, okay? You have to work with it. And you might be sitting here thinking, okay, what's the whole point of this? They had the exact same responses pretty much, just worded differently. I'm just trying to emphasize that this is a process when working with these AI agents. Okay? This is not a quick solution that you can solve in seconds. That's not feasible. Okay? This is most important. AI is meant to make our life easier, yes, but it's not meant to make our life decisionless. That will never happen. Okay? By treating the AI like an agent, it starts a process that you and the agent will work on, and it will finish with a personalized outcome for you. Okay? That's what I'm trying to emphasize right here. Although they're very similar, this one is a process of treating it like an agent. Okay? And remember, ask yourself this question. If someone gave me a task like this, would I be able to complete it? If you ask too much of the agent, okay, and someone asked you that same exact question and you wouldn't be able to complete it all at once, you should rethink how you're talking to the agent. That being said, remember, AI is not an all-knowing supercomputer. There are flaws and you must remember this. Okay? Oftentimes you must be prepared to work with it over time, and it's going to be a process. That being said, this is where prompting comes in handy. Okay? If I was sending someone to the grocery store, I would give them a list, I would tell them exactly what I need, okay, down to the exact item. I wouldn't just say, go get me food. Okay? Because you don't know what they're going to give you in advance. That's why prompting is also the same way. It takes precision, it takes detail, okay? And you have to give it the best answer, the best question so it can give you the best answer. And sometimes, if you don't know the place to start, I will give you one simple question that you can use when talking to these agents. I want to blank, how can you help me? I want to travel to Europe over the summer, how can you help me? I want to cook pasta tonight for dinner, how can you help me? I want to create a new workout routine. How can you help me? I want to start a new company. How can you help me? And even, I want to ask someone on a date. How can you help me? Okay? The ideas are endless. Okay? With this question, okay, it not only allows the agent to respond in many different ways that can help you, but also it doesn't limit the agent to respond in a predetermined answer that maybe your specific prompt made it to. Okay? Let the response be more open and allow them to tell you the many ways it can help you. Okay? Once you get better at prompting, you can sway away from this and ask more specific things. But a great place to start is with this simple question. So, let's pretend we're going to use one example. We're going to do the workout routine. You have one on the side, create a new workout routine. Again, treating it like an all-knowing supercomputer. On the right, I want to create a new workout routine. How can you help me? Treating it like an agent. If this is too small, let me help you. At the end of the day, the one routine, okay, it's not bad. It gives you strength training, it gives you cardio, it gives you flexibility. For a beginner, I would say you'd see pretty good results from this workout routine, okay? It's not bad, I'm not, okay, bringing it down. But what I don't like about it is it's not personalized. It has nothing to do with you, okay? It doesn't know what you want, your goals, it doesn't know your body type, it doesn't know your health limitations, okay? This is a basic, overgeneralized routine that you can find from any up-and-coming social media influencer online, okay? You go on Instagram, they're gonna give you this, okay? But today's day and age, and what we have at our fingertips, don't settle for overgeneralized, okay? Let's look at the second prompt. Okay, clearly you can see right from the start, much more detail. There's more information on there. With the second prompt, yes, it gives you a similar answer, but again, it starts the process. It's a very similar conversation that you would have with a fitness trainer. Okay, it's a process, not a quick solution. Okay, the second prompt, like I said. This is a conversation you would have with a personal trainer. The first prompt, overgeneralized, doesn't give me what I need. It's not personalized with me. While the second prompt starts the process, okay? This process is going to end with me having my own unique workout routine for me, not for somebody else that's random online. I cannot emphasize this enough. You will always need to use your human discretion at the end of the day, okay? You always need to use your judgment. The more detailed prompts, the better. AI is not a get-rich-quick scheme. So many people are looking at artificial intelligence as that. It is an all-knowing supercomputer. I get my results in a second. Yes, that's true, but at the same time, you still need to use your human judgment. You still need to use your own critical thinking. AI is an agent, okay? It is not a get-rich-quick scheme. That if you take away anything from this talk, it's that. You will always need to use your human judgment at the end of the day, and your human reasoning. All I can say is this. The floodgates have opened. There's no closing them. Artificial intelligence is not going anywhere. We have to change how we look at it, okay? Refusing not to use AI is not taking a moral high ground that you don't need artificial intelligence. Good for you. In my opinion, you're shooting yourself in the foot by not using it, okay? Like I said, artificial intelligence is to make your life easier, not decisionless. A piece of advice that I got that has stuck with me is this. Even if artificial intelligence has done 90% of the work and you only did 10% of the work, that 10% is the most essential part, okay? That 10% is the make or break of the project. Even though artificial intelligence did most of the bulk work, okay, and you're only 10%, that's where you use your judgment. That's where you use your discretion. That's where you help shape it into your personalized outcome that you were desiring. AI is not here to control, okay? AI is not here to take over our thinking. At the end of the day, we still need to mold it. We still need to work with it. And we still need to use our human judgment. If you take away anything from this talk, it is that. Thank you.
And then I flew back home to start the first cryptocurrency company in Thailand 11 years ago, in 2013. I realized back then, after graduation, that my parents hadn't saved enough money to send 4 kids, obviously very expensive for a Thai family. So I didn't want to ask for the funding from my parents. Luckily, they have a small shop in Ponpimon Center area. So I asked for a spare room in that clothing shop to set up my first company. My parents was baffled. Topp, what are you going to do if you want to quit your job? I was saying all the way to Oxford. I want to start a startup. What is a startup? Okay, I just explain what a startup is. Okay, what do you want to do? Bitcoin. What is Bitcoin? 11 years ago. I was, staring at my computers 12, 14 hours every day, 7 days a week, with one person, starting a company from scratch. I had to learn everything myself. From company incorporation, tax system, operation, customer support, marketing, everything myself. And then 10 months into the first business, the Bank of Thailand issued a formal statement saying that to all the commercial banks in Thailand, saying that Bitcoin could be a Ponzi scheme. The value could go to zero anytime. Don't go anywhere near it. It was an official letter from the Bank of Thailand. My dad discovered that letter. Who do you think he's going to believe? A recently graduated son or the Bank of Thailand? Right? Topp, I sent you all the way to Oxford. Why are you running a Ponzi scheme? That was his question. You could have applied for any jobs in this country. Why are you running a Ponzi scheme? I had a big fight with my dad, my parents. Bitcoin is going to change the world. My parents said, why Bitcoin? Let's go read that. It's going to change the whole finance. I didn't want to do it. And one of the most happiest days in my life was when I moved out of that clothing shop into a small co-working space. Before I moved out, I saved up roughly $30,000 in 10 months. That was like the maximum money I made in 10 months. So I started to hire employees from expansion. And then that's when I found out that nobody wanted to work for me. Because I was with this title, literally chief everything officer. I was the only one doing everything in the company. And when they came for a job interview, why Why is there clothes everywhere? It's literally a clothing shop. And where's the Bitcoin stuff? How many staff do you have want to see every day officer? So nobody wanted to work. My first 2 employees were my cousins, and to pay my cousins to jumpstart the business. So the 3 of us moved into a co-working space that can facilitate maximum 5 people. And we gradually, until we moved up to the biggest group, that we were at roughly 9 members, 9 staff. And then the anti-money laundering officers sent me an investigation letter with my name on top of the letter, Topp investigation for money laundering. My dad discovered that letter. And he said, Topp, I sent you all the way home. Why are you laundering money? Why are you running a Ponzi scheme? Why are you laundering money? What's the need for that? Come and help me sell clothes if you want to. 1 foot is already in jail. Why risk it? I was like, Bitcoin is going to change the world. Mark Anderson told me that paper, big fight. I can do my work. I was hiding this letter from my employees also. So stressful. 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. managing a team of 9 people. 7 p.m. I was staying behind until 3 a.m. reading up all the KYC, CED, AML stuff that we're not telling you in the university. I called my friend from Oxford University, graduated from law school. Hey bro, I got into this big issue. Money laundering officers sent me a message. Topp, what are you doing? Bitcoin. What? You serious? You're doing Bitcoin stuff? Good luck. That was the response from a friend that was working in legal. Nobody wanted to take the case. Imagine Bitcoin 11 years ago. It's not today. 11 years ago. Right, so I had to. My dad was the one who, after 3 months of preparation, drove me to the anti-money laundering officers and defend the case to set up the first cryptocurrency transaction report in this country. When I came back, half of the employees left the company. We had to rehire. Then we moved out and do our own space back. We gradually grew to roughly 30 people. And then Bank of Thailand issued an investigation letter. Now this time is the Bank of Thailand. Because the transactions started to grow. Cryptocurrency transactions started to grow in this country. We started to get bigger and bigger each year. And they were like, Topp, where's your license? You operate a money business without a license. Where do you want a license? $200 million capital registration. Where is it? Topp, where is your remittance license? Where's your payment license? My capital registration was $1 million. Bootstrapping. There's no way that I was able to get a proper big financial institution license. Call my friend, Bitcoin, good one, same response. So after 7 p.m., I had to stay to the office till 3 a.m. every night. And then 9 a.m. back to the office, managing the team. It was tough, no life in the first 4 or 5 years. My dad discovered the letter from the Bank of Thailand. What do you think he's going to say? Shut the company down now, Topp. Why are you getting into trouble with all the regulators in Thailand? Bank of Thailand, anti-money laundering officers. But he was the one, again, driving me to the Bank of Thailand to defend the case. I had to spend myself, the money regulation, because nobody wanted to take a case. Even up to today, the definition of money in Thailand was updated 80 years ago. I still even remember up to the 2475 Thai calendar. 70, 80 years ago, even before the internet era. So I was saying to the Bank of Thailand, guys, this is your own definition of money. Bitcoin does not fall into the definition of money. So I'm not under your supervision. Thank you. I really need a license. They still hate me up to today. After I came back to the Bank of Thailand, half the employees left. So painful. But not long after that, the RD, revenue department, I was not hiding that. They came to the office. They didn't visit every company, by the way. They only visit brand companies, and we were one of them. We were the spotlighted. All the employees were shocked. The RD, revenue department. Are you avoiding taxes with the transaction? How do you report this technology, this transaction? We were the pioneer in this country. How do you pay taxes with this thing? I was making 1% spread, and since Bitcoin was not under the definition of money, I pay 7% VAT because it's classified as an asset. How am I going to survive if I make 1% spread and I have to pay 7% taxes? I have to go and defend the case. I have to pay special business tax. I can only pay 3% on top of the 1% spread, only on the net spread. It was so tough. But luckily, on the 1st of April 2017, Japan announced that Bitcoin was a legal tender. And everyone started messaging me and said, Tom, I can't believe you were the minority that was right. Whereas the majority were wrong about this technology. And the first company was formed at roughly $100 million. It was the biggest exit in this region back then. And then I started Bitcoin. I wanted to rest for a year, but that's when, 2017, 18, that's when Bitcoin price hit $20,000 for the first time. All the media was on me. I was the only operator in this country. All the regulators. I was on 300 stages that year alone. And I wanted to show to the regulators that we can do much more beyond just Bitcoin with this blockchain technology. So I participated in the first Thai Fintech Challenge. I started a project called Stock Exchange 2.0, where you can do settlement T plus 0 settlement time. Back then, 6-7 years ago, it was T plus 3 settlement time for stock trading in Thailand. The judges were from the SEC, the Stock Exchange of Thailand, the Finance Minister. We became the final of that. We became the winner of that 15 challenge. The stock exchange guy gave me 0 every round. Who is this kid? We've been running this for 50 years. Who is this 27 years old kid who can create a better instant settlement stock exchange than me? I want to destroy this business rather. That was the feedback that we got. We came out as a winner anyway. And luckily, luck was on my side. Bitcoin went $20,000 for the first time. The Ministry of Finance ordered the Thai SEC. Oh, before that, I came to the SEC and said, I'm the winner of your business. I want to turn this into a proper business now. And they kind of lost face. Said, well, based on our own regulation, nobody can compete with the Thai Stock Exchange. It's a special company in Thailand. It's a monopoly. So I was like, what's the point of competing? And luckily, when Bitcoin price went $20,000, Minister of Finance ordered the Thai SEC to issue a license in this space. You were already in the sandbox, and they turned that sandbox into the first license in this country. And Bitcoin was the first to receive the license. And the company has been growing at 1,000% every year in the first 3 years, 2014. And now we are the most successful startup in the Thai stock industry. We ended up having more traffic than the Thai stock exchange, so actually making more money than them after 7 years. This is my story so far. I know I've gone over time. Just maybe 2 quick lessons for all of you as students. The first lesson is you have to find this important truth. You have to be the minority that was right about, very right about something that the majority are wrong. Then you're going to create tremendous opportunity for yourself. Be very different, don't be the same. Otherwise, you could be sharing the rewards. Supply and demand. So you have to somehow use Steve Jobs' word, connecting the dots backward to arrive at your own conclusion, important truth, and stick to that important truth long enough, and make sure that you're on the right side, which be the minority that was right or something that the majority were wrong. That's why I'm here today with 0 capital. I still didn't use any of my parents' money up to today. Second lesson is perseverance. I haven't met any single entrepreneurs in any industries that do not persist or have this characteristics, perseverance, the ability to handle pain. Make sure that we have to have a high pain threshold if you want to be an entrepreneur. It's not easy. The media only highlight the good stuff, not the bad stuff. Make sure that you're okay with handling pain. It's part of the game. And one last thing is, if you want to be an entrepreneur, do one thing that scares you every day, because that's how you push your comfort zone. Eventually, your comfort zone is going to get bigger and bigger. I And by the way, if you're pushing your comfort zone, you're going to fail the first time. Because it's going to be the first time that you try new stuff. And nobody succeeds in the first go, right, from the first time. So be okay with failing. Get used to failing. And once you constantly do, pushing your comfort zone, you're going to become a much better, more capable person. And as an entrepreneur, you really have to be CEO, teach everything on yourself. You have to do the things that you don't really want to do, but for the survival of the company. And I hope you enjoyed my very short